Welcome to the Global Hospitality Collective podcast, where real talk meets the art of hosting. I'm Jodie Odlin, creator of the Hospitable Host book series and founder of the Global Hospitality Collective. Today, I'm joined by three powerhouse women in the short-term rental world, Helen Levine, Rose Tipka, and Debbie Todd. Now, this isn't your perfectly polished panel. It's honest, funny, and sometimes a little too real. We're diving into the chaos, quirks, and the heart of what it really means to host. So if you're here for behind-the-scenes stories, hard-earned lessons, and a few outrageous guest moments along the way, grab your coffee or something stronger and let's get into it. For another episode of the Global Hospitality Collective podcast, where we as a panel talk about all things hospitality in the short-term rental industry. My name's Jodie.
My name is Rose.
Hi, I'm Helen.
And hey, I'm Debbie.
In today's episode, we're talking about pet-friendly listings. I know my properties are pet-friendly, and when I did that, my bookings really did increase. And so there's one thing about having a pet-friendly listing. It's easy to say that, but preparing your property for pets is where hospitality really begins. So Debbie, let's start with you. Do you accept pets in your properties?
I do not, but I'm right. Like, it's so funny. I just texted Rose last night before I went to bed and said, do you have pet? You all, because I knew she did have pet friendly properties, but I didn't know if all of them were. I am thinking about changing one of our properties. So we've got two, about to have three. I'm thinking about changing one of them over to pet friendly. It's a little bit slower season. So I was like, well, hey, let's try it and see. We have had a couple pets here and there, like people have reached out and I'm like, all right, let's try it. But I want to do it well. I don't just want to say, hey, like you said, hey, we're pet friendly. You know, what does that look like? And then I want us to be able to support our cleaning team too. So I've got I'm ready.
So Debbie, I did a little experiment when I first started Brookledge. We had two identical glamping tents. So same address, same amenities, everything identical. One was dog friendly, pet friendly. The other one was not. And the pet-friendly glamping tent had significant more bookings and better reviews than the other tent. So so then we end up making all of the spots here on the property pet-friendly. And we do, and I don't know what you ladies think about this, but we allow we've had quite a few different pets besides just dogs. So we have had cats.
Ask that. Yeah.
Yeah. We have had cats. We've had birds. We've had a hamster. We've had a few different pets where people were either like having to travel or they're moving or they need to be like relocated. So we did allow different types of pets. My weirdest request was a bull.
A bull?
Yeah. Yeah, because we have 60 acres and they needed a place where they could bring a pen, like a big metal pen. And he was a friendly bull that traveled with them to events. We didn't allow the bull because it was an insurance thing. So that would be something to look at too. Is your insurance.
Oh, I didn't even think about insurance. That's a great. Now, do you put that on I'm going to ask all kind of questions because like I said, I think I'm actually going to do that today. So we're going to put this into action. Do you put that in your listing about pet? Do you just say pet friendly and then they just ask you about different types of animals?
Yeah, that's what I do.
Yeah. So in my listings, I do say pets are allowed. However, please speak to me first. Like, please contact me first before making the booking, because I've had people who want to bring 6 dogs into a tiny little cottage and it really cannot handle 6 dogs. And so I say no. So I do have some rules, 1 dog per property. They can't leave their pets unattended. Or however, I do have one of my cleaners who loves looking after dogs, so we can help with the pet sitting. Because I get a lot of people come to my area for weddings and they want to bring their dog with them because we love to travel with our dogs, right? All of us have dogs. We understand what it's like to bring those with us. I don't want those dogs left in the property while they go off for an 8-hour wedding. So I have some rules against like what they can do and what they can't do. So I think once you do start allowing animals, whether it's cats, dogs, birds, whatever it may be, you've got to have your house rules set up correctly. So Debbie, that's one thing you need to have a look at seriously,
So
the house rules.
what about, because most people are probably going to leave, and they're going to want to leave their dog at, because I would say don't leave your pet unattended. Now, granted, we're in a park, so they can bring, maybe looking at places around, like restaurants that are pet friendly, maybe. What about crates? Like leaving a crate, tell them to bring a crate. Like, what do you think?
Well, a lot of my
we do have crates. We do have crates at our properties that people can use, but a lot of times folks will bring their own crates themselves because that's just what their dogs are comfortable with. But one of our most popular blog posts on our website is pet-friendly activities. And when people book with us and they indicate that they have a pet, there is a separate pet agreement, legal agreement that they sign. So our system is triggered to send out a pet agreement. And so that lays out kind of what our expectations are, but doing it also in a friendly way. Sometimes messaging about pets can be a little aggressive. And so doing it in a friendly way is important. But then I also send them that blog post that gives them a list, like, here are pet-friendly restaurants, here are pet-friendly trails. So it's not just like the pet is an afterthought, the pet is part of the vacation. I've also found that people that have pets, including me, are pretty obsessed with our pets and our dogs. And so I actually have a series of triggered emails that go out in the future for after guest checkout. I have a 3-month, a 6-month, and a 1 year. And it's actually an email that I wrote from the perspective of their dog, sending it to them. Hey, you won't believe this. Your dog just sent me an email and I thought I would forward it to you. And it's the dog saying, remember how much fun we had? And we had a great time together. And it's just like, it's a fun email that's meant to just kind of make people smile.
You're
and
so creative, Rose.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I think that would be hilarious if my dog sent me an email. And it's just kind of like, it's just a fun thing. And like, it's a one-time setup. You write the emails, it's a one-time setup, and then you set up the messaging trigger in your PMS, and then it just runs. And it just kind of, it creates that warm, fun feeling. And I think that has been really important for people.
I'm trying to think
of
that
relationship building.
Yeah, I love that, Rose. I'm trying to think of like logistics of that too, because obviously you don't want that going out to people that didn't bring pets, or maybe that would be kind of funny. No, maybe not.
Yeah. So just I think when you start to think about allowing people to bring pets, you have to look at the property itself, as well, to see if it's suitable. So you've got to look at the flooring, you've got to look at the fabrics that you've got in your property, because there is more cleaning when you have dogs or cats come and stay. Are you going to charge a pet fee? I know I do. And I always say that it's going straight to the cleaner because they take longer in the property to clean it after. Because we do get those guests also who say they don't want to stay in a pet-friendly property because they have allergies. So there is that balance there. But I know, like, I was quite frightened when I started to allow pets, and I only allowed pets on where I had properties with hard wooden floors. But then I started to open it up more and more, and it welcomed pets to all of my properties now. I did get a bit of backlash once because I asked what color their Labrador was, because black Labradors shed so much hair, right? And so they did say it was a black Labrador, and I said sorry, because we had a really bad experience with this dog that just left so much hair. And we were cleaning it for weeks. Like every time, someone stayed, they would complain about the black hair because it would just come from nowhere. And so I did start saying no black dogs. And then I actually got accused of being racist. So I stopped that. But it wasn't.
Right.
It was just that it was clogging up my vacuum, and we just could not get rid of this hair. It just kept coming out of everywhere. So, you have to look at your fabrics, whether they're washable, because we need to wash those. Is there fencing outside? Because a lot of people would like fencing. And also, like for me, I have little cottages that don't have outdoor spaces. So is that suitable for for people with pets, so I direct them where the local park is. So there's a lot of things to consider when you say, yes, we're going to accept pets. I believe, after doing it for quite some time, I think there's a lot more to it.
Now, how do y'all do fees? Do you do per night? Do you do per stay, per dog? Like, how do you decide that, what to do?
So we charge $100 per dog, and that's per stay. And then that we do pay our cleaners more when we do have a dog that comes, because they do spend more time cleaning after the dog comes. And so I don't necessarily think that we make more revenue on that. But on the other side of it, we are just getting more reservations simply because people are coming with dogs. And so you are charging that pet fee, yes, and that's going to our cleaners. But we are just, if somebody is traveling with a pet, it is hard for them to find pet-friendly rentals. That's what it is. That's one of the reasons why we started our business in the first place, is we needed big, nice homes that would also welcome our dogs. And so since we couldn't find it ourselves, there clearly was a need for that, and that there were other people out there that wanted it. And that's how we do it. So it's just a straight $100 fee per dog. And then I do think that we get loads and loads of reservations just because we are the only pet-friendly option. Now, we did get one 4-star review once because somebody said that they don't like to stay in pet-friendly properties, but that person picked us. You picked us knowing that we were a pet-friendly property. And I know, myself and all of us know, it is much harder to find a pet-friendly property than to find one that doesn't welcome pets. And so I feel like that's on that person. Like, you picked it because it was pet friendly, and you cannot appeal to everybody, and that is the reality. We can try to be a people pleaser and please everybody, but if somebody has allergies or something like that, that's fine. We just might not be the property for you. And I am confident that there are lots of other rentals out there that don't accept pets, and perhaps you should look into those.
And Debbie, there's other things too. Like, I'm part of a Facebook group that's called Dogs Are Welcome, and it's a spot for people who have dogs looking for short-term rentals for vacation purposes. And so it's like a directory. But the thing is, when you're looking at that group, what people have issues are, one, if they have multiple dogs, and two, if they have large dogs. So a lot of places might only accept a small dog. So if you have, a big German Shepherd, you might have a hard time finding a place to stay because people only allow dogs that are like 30 pounds or less, or like multiple dogs. If they have 2 or 3 large dogs, they have a hard time. So the group helps people find STRs, and it's listed by state and by area, so people will go on there and ask. But that's one of the big things that they are noticing. Like Jodie said, fenced in properties are a big deal. People really look for those, and then they also look for ones that don't have a pet fee. So that's one of the things they look in that group. I'm like Rose, I do charge a fee for the stay because they're only cleaning it once, so I don't do it per day. But and for me, my spaces are a lot smaller than Rose's places, so my fee's only $30, but I think Debbie, yours are more similar to Rose's, so it will probably be a little bit higher. But I think most people who do have pets say their properties do have a pet fee.
Okay,
I think it's pretty standard practice.
And I do have thoughts about the size there, and I know that I've seen that before. As like, we only accept dogs under X weight. I don't get that, to be honest with you. A good dog is a good dog, whether they're 80 pounds or 10 pounds. And in my experience, the dogs that we've had the most difficulty with are the little ankle biters.
Yeah, me too.
That they are more trouble. And I know people will say, well, I have 2 dogs. You only take 2, but I have 3. And in my experience, a good, responsible pet owner with 2 dogs is also a good, responsible pet owner with 3 dogs. And if they are doing a good job and they're being responsible, if they have 3 dogs versus 2 dogs, that's not that big of a difference. Plus, that again puts me in a category where there aren't a lot of other rentals that are willing to take big dogs. There aren't a lot of people that are willing to take 3 dogs as opposed to 1. And I've also worked with content creators that are specifically making dog content. Yeah, I've worked a lot with a gentleman. His name is Brett Dukas. He has this massive social media page. He has 2 full-size German Shepherds. And he comes, he stays with us, and all of those comments like, oh my gosh, they'll take big dogs. Oh, they'll take 2 dogs. And that has been a huge marketing win for us because people with big dogs, multiple dogs, they know how hard it is to find a place. And I want to be that place for them.
Yeah, again, it comes down to your property, right? Like, I've got little cottages and apartments. I can't have 4 big dogs in my properties, but you could because you've got all of this land around you. So that really does, you have to take that into consideration as well. We want to be able to host as many people as we can, but we've also got to ensure that it's suitable for our properties.
And I didn't even think about the insurance. I'm like, my brain, I've got so many questions. The insurance part, of checking with your insurance, like just checking to make sure that that's okay. I mean,
Yeah, and sometimes they may have certain breeds that they will allow and not allow onto a property. So, dogs are known to be more aggressive, can sometimes be not covered under insurance purposes, but that's, like certain breeds. But I've found that, like Rose, like a good dog owner is a good dog owner. And my experience too with any damage we've had is from a little dog like scratching at a door and chipping paint, things like that. Where the larger dogs, they do tend to be a little bit messier because they tend to like going in the pond, like bigger dogs and will get a little messy. But that leads me to a question that I'm kind of curious. What are some of the things that you provide for your guests to make it easier? I know, Rose, you said you have a crate, but is there anything that you recommend with adding to your property for pets?
I have a little tote that has little paw prints on it. So it's our dog tote. And in there, I'm providing specific towels, like microfiber towels for wiping off feet and all of that kind of stuff so that they're not using my nice ones for the dogs. I do request respectfully that they don't allow the dogs on the furniture or the beds, but also I'm not there and I can't really police that. So I provide them with waterproof, like not sheets, but like blankets that can go on the couches so that there is something there to protect our furniture. I'm providing waste bags, clean dog bowls. I'll throw in a tennis ball, things like that. So I'm trying to make it really easy for them to clean up after their dog, trying to make it really easy for them to protect our furniture. So those are the kinds of things that I'm providing for folks that are coming with dogs.
Yeah.
I've also heard like the bowls, like some people provide bowl because I was like, oh yeah, and people are like, don't even bother. People are gonna bring their own bowls.
Yeah. Do you know what I did with that, Debbie? I saw a lady who was selling these pet-friendly kits for short-term rentals, and I thought, actually, I could make them myself. So on Amazon, I got these containers. They're paper, but they are waxed inside. And so they can double up as a water bowl or a food bowl in case the guests have forgotten theirs. So I give them one of these containers, and inside there's a dog treat, there's some poop bags, there's a ball, and I also have in there folded up a list of great walks that you can go to with your dogs, and also a list of cafes and restaurants that accept dogs. And honestly, and it gets, I've made up a whole load. I've made up 50 at a time at a batch. They go into my housekeeping team's warehouse, and every time there's a dog flagged, they just pull one off and they put it on the table. Well, the response has been fantastic. People, as we know, we love our dogs. We want to take them away. We do a lot for our dogs. I flew mine to Australia, so that's how much I love him. So when the owner gets a little gift for their dog, and it's thoughtful dog treats, poop bags, a ball, and this container converts into a water bowl or a feeding bowl, they just love it. They really do. So there's some simple things that you can do there. I also have some old towels that are put aside for dogs. So when it is raining, because not everyone brings a towel and muddy footprints go through the place, I also give them a towel as well, like Rose.
What about you, Helen? Do you provide anything differently?
I just have some stainless steel bowls that I just keep in the sinks in all the cabins. Part of it too is because when a couple rents my property, I sometimes don't know if one of their guests is bringing a dog. And so I just leave them in all the cabins. I do have a towel that's rolled up with the bowl. So it's almost kind of like signal, like this is the dog. I don't leave treats. I used to, but I don't leave any food in the cabins because of critters, because I'm in the woods, chipmunks and squirrels and little mice can get in there. So I don't leave any food. I used to leave little like dog treats in there, but I don't anymore. And that's really it. I do leave waste bags just in case. That's, I feel like, something that people forget. Like they tend to remember the dog food in the bowl and then they might forget the waste bags. But I do leave them in all the cabins just because when a bride and groom books, their guests don't book. They like book for the whole property. Yeah. So I sometimes don't know if there's a dog.
Okay. What about your cleaning team? How do you prepare them? Like, do you get extra stuff? Because right now we just have the basic stuff, like, is there anything extra I should maybe to help them with cleaning?
A lint roller.
Yeah, I was going to say exactly the same thing. A lint roller.
Lint roller.
Okay.
Yeah. For the couch. The vacuum's just not always great. And certain dog hair is more like little needles. So the lint roller does help that. There are reusable ones. I found that those don't work as great as like just the good old fashioned like paper tearaway ones.
Yeah. Okay.
I do have a carpet shampooer that lives at each property because sometimes, and obviously we use it more for human problems than dog problems, but they're relatively inexpensive, and it's just good to have a carpet shampooer on site because you never know when you're going to need it. When you need it, it might not be there. So that's a good thing to have, and that's not terribly expensive, and you're going to use it for other things anyway. So that's a good thing to have along with the lint roller.
Well, we're fortunate. We just got all the carpet out, so we have no carpet anymore. So this is another reason why I'm like, let's look into this,
Yeah. And there will be those guests, although we say don't let them on the furniture, don't let them in the bed, some guests do. And so I actually had a guest who stayed with me for 2 weeks, and the dog was clearly on the bed, and the hair was just as you said, Helen, it was like needles. It got into everything. So when we pulled off the bedding, it was even in the plastic, like waterproof cover, and it had gone into the mattress. So it took us probably an hour to vacuum the mattress, and all the bedding had to be shook and washed, hot wash like it does normally, but it was so much more. It was this little black dog that I don't remember the breed of it, but it was just as you said, Helen, it was everywhere and just needles. Like it was crazy.
Do you have a lot of longs? So Jodie, you just said they stayed for 2 weeks. Like, oh my gosh, people stay that long. I forget because we're usually like 2 or 3 days. Summer is usually a little bit longer. So I think of that too, of like how long they're not going to be there, like super long, What about,
if they have a dog, they might with it, if they have a pet, stay longer.
Yes.
That's the point.
Yeah. I don't have those long stays because my weekends are always booked for events and weddings and things like that. So I don't get those long stays. The longest I might get is like 4 days, a Monday through kind of Friday type thing, but I don't get those long stays.
I had a guy stay with 2 kittens for 2 months. He stayed, and I was really dreading it. I thought, oh my gosh, 2 kittens. But he came with all the appropriate kit, and he was actually in a second floor apartment, and I was so worried he was going to leave the window open and the kittens were going to fall out onto the street. But obviously I let him know that. I just reminded him not to leave the windows open. But he was totally fine when he checked out. Like the place was spotless. So I have had some disasters as well. I'm not going to lie, Debbie. Like have a spare rug if you've got rugs handy, or the washable rugs, the ruggable washable rugs are really great, because I have had some disasters. I had one couple and they tried to leave and their dog had peed everywhere, up the sofa, on the bed. oh, it was just terrible. And the only reason I found out was because they had an issue with the tap in the kitchen. It wouldn't turn off. So I had to go in there during their stay and I saw it all. And before they checked out, I said to them, well, hang on a minute, we need to sort this out. But they weren't going to say anything to me. But luckily, I got in there before they actually checked out. So, yeah, you want to
You end
have
up
all of
charged.
that. Yeah, you want to have all of that in your house rules. And I love the pet agreement that Rose has as a separate agreement. So, if there is any damages, the guests will pay for those damages or they will be charged for the damages. Mm.
I also have midterm rentals, so people are living in those houses for months, a year or so, and all of those are also pet friendly. But when we set those up again, we're doing hard floors, we have washable rugs, that kind of stuff. And that there isn't a huge number of midterm rentals anyway, so I'm already in a small pool. But being pet friendly has really helped us book those even before those properties were ready. We had a family who reached out to us, and it was a husband and wife. They had 2 kids. She was a vet. They were relocating from across the country and they couldn't find a place to live because they had 2 dogs, 2 cats, a turtle, snakes, and nobody would take them. And I'm like, well, I will. I'll just charge you a little bit more. And so that has allowed me to really fill these midterm rentals very quickly because, yeah, sure, you want to have a pet? Absolutely. It's going to cost you a little bit more per month, but that's okay. And so that I feel like it just, yeah, it puts us right at the top of the list for people.
Mm. I don't know about the rest of you, but I know for me, after COVID, people started traveling more with their pets. But prior to that, I didn't get as many requests for people wanting to bring their pets. But after COVID, it seemed like the families had all connected again, and that included the animals. And the animals were with the humans 24/7 locked up together. And now they wanted to bring them with them. And I just think it's fantastic. I know when I go away with my dog, I just love it. It makes me happy rather than having to leave him at home or put him with somebody that he really doesn't know. It's lovely to be able to take your pet. So I think in terms of hospitality, it is just another way that we can extend our hospitality to our guests if they can bring their cats, dogs, animals, bulls. I haven't known that one. And I've even taken my rabbit with me because when we were relocating, I had a rabbit in the back of the car in a cage as well as my dog. And one of the people that I needed to stay with was totally fine with me taking my rabbit. A lot of people have different reasons why they need to stay in our properties with animals. It's not just for vacation, it could be relocation as well. And then, of course, there's guide dogs, like service animals. And I believe, isn't it with Airbnb that you have to accept a service animal?
Correct. Yep. Yep,
Mm.
you do. And I know in the United States it's actually a law. And I know too, speaking of pets, it also depends on what's going on in your area and what culturally is acceptable. I know United States, we do have our dogs as like another child. I also am going to get different things because one, my properties, there's a lot of space, but we are close to like a rodeo and we are close to other things that are animal centered. So having that availability, being able to bring a horse trailer here and things like that
Mm.
does
Mm.
make make it a little easier for guests to
Mm.
accommodate those unique needs.
Mm.
I think what Rose said at the beginning too, of just having friendly expectations, right? I feel like I kind of went into this thinking like the worst. Like I'm like, oh my gosh, they're gonna tear my house apart. And I'm like, we have kids that come to our house. Like it's like, Debbie,
Yes.
or like damage waiver. I'm like, oh my gosh, what if it, am I gonna have to charge them? So I think I need to back up a little bit and just, like, hey, just set expectations again, knowing that they might get on the furniture, but provide them with something just in case. So yeah, a lot of great things to think about. So I'm excited.
Yeah, and I think some pets are actually more well behaved than some humans. Have you seen those
Agree.
funny like Instagram reels where there's a dog on a plane and it's sitting there just beautifully on the owner's lap, and then it's got this, then you hear this kid screaming in the background, and it's like, you thought that having an animal on a plane was going to be bad. What about the humans? I think that's so true. And yeah, I truly believe that a lot of people need to learn from animals how to behave.
Love that. So normally we end our episode with a word that either sums up our day, week, what's going on, either personal or in our professional life. Does anybody want to start with a word for the episode today?
I'm going to go with progress, because sometimes change happens slowly. And I see the end point and I'm picturing the big picture in my mind, and I'm like, how am I going to get there? And I have to remember that it's progress and it's baby steps, and that I'm getting there.
I'm going to piggyback off of that. And usually I cheat and do 2 words, but I think I'm doing a whole bunch of words. I don't even know how many it is. But it just reminded me of my mom, who has passed, which I had a dream about her last night. So maybe this is funny, but like she would always say, she'd like be like, Debbie, because I would get all frazzled, like, what's the next step? And she said, an inch is a cinch and a mile's a trial. So kind of the same thing, just, making progress over perfection, one step at a time. So there we go.
Love that.
I'm going to go with evolution. I think we start somewhere. Debbie, a little bit what you're saying. We start somewhere and we don't know where we're going to end, or, enjoy the journey, and our businesses evolve as well as we do as humans and people. So, you've got this great business and now you're thinking about adding pets in, and we've all been there, and you've just got to help your business evolve to be able to accept those pets into your property. So yeah, I'm going to go with evolution in those terms.
Mine is joy, because our pets bring us joy. I love seeing our guests happy. And also this week we had the Global Hospitality Collective. We've been talking, Jodie, and brainstorming like different things that we have coming up for the summit. And so there's a lot of joy and excitement going on. So really excited.
Do you know, I was going to say joy. I was going to say joy as well, because I don't know, when I think of my dog, Buddy, he brings me a lot of joy, and he's asleep at the moment. And we've just seen Rose's 2 beautiful dogs, and we were talking about our own pets before this, and pets do bring us joy. So I was also going to say joy. So there we go.
Great minds think alike.
A lot of joy here tonight.
Singing, joy, or maybe not. Okay.
No. All right, ladies. Well, we'll leave it there. That's another great episode. I hope the listeners enjoyed it as much as we do every time that we get together, and that they feel some joy as well, Helen. So, yeah, thanks very much, and we'll see you next time.
Bye.
See you later.
This is the Global Hospitality Collective, where we believe hospitality starts with how you make people feel. If you felt connected with today's conversation, please subscribe and leave a review. It helps us reach more hosts around the world. Next week, we'll hear from some of the authors of the Hospitable Host book series as they share their journey, their struggles, and their wins. Until then, keep showing up, keep leading with intention, and above all, keep hosting with heart.